Me, Barry Murphy, hoping to guide Cork to the kind of championship success the county hasn't seen now since the start of the decade.
Michael Coleman under the dropping ball, but it breaks down towards Mark Foley, prodded forward towards John Fitzgibbon. A chase on here. Coleman going back, missed by Dermot Fahy. Sean Tracy coming up from his full-back position, but it set up a chance. A goal by Kevin Hennessy. Runs on towards Tomás Mulcahy. In the clear. A Cork goal perhaps, yes! Out to Tomás Mulcahy, Cork's goal scorer in the second half. Towards Kevin Hennessy, who got the goal in the first. Rounding Sean Tracy with some ease. Into Mark Foley. Oh, it's a goal! The layback to Mark Foley, scorer of that goal, which brought Cork right back into it. Missed. John Fitzgibbon. It's a goal! A goal by John Fitzgibbon. Beautiful hand pass inside by Tomás Mulcahy to Kevin Hennessy. The referee allows an advantage. Hennessy still going through. Inside towards John Fitzgibbon, a goal scorer just a moment ago. There's another one! It's a very proud moment indeed for Tomás Mulcahy, captain of Cork. The cup goes back to Leeside for the first time in 4 years. Galway has yet to beat Cork in a final.
So my two guests in studio this afternoon have very different memories of that game. Pete Finnerty of Galway and of course Tomás Mulcahy, whom we just saw there. Tomás, it was really great to see those clips again.
Yes, it gives me great pleasure, and it even gives me more pleasure sitting alongside yourself and Peter, obviously from Galway, you know. And that was a terrific day. I mean, looking back, and it was great to look back in those memories. We haven't had too many since then, you know.
No, on a day like that, when you had such a big win, you were entitled to think that these things would go on forever, but as we made the point, they haven't.
No, I would say since 1982 to 92, Cork competed in 6 All-Ireland finals. There were maybe 1 or 2 semi-finals as well on top of that. But there has been a gradual exodus of the backbone of that team period, really, from the team. And Jimmy has been building a young team, and when he took over the reins of Cork, he said that himself, that he's building a young team. It's going to take a bit of time. Yeah. It's taken longer maybe than a lot of people feel it should take. But I mean, after last year's championship game against Clare, people seem to think that we're making a bit of progress, and hopefully today they'll actually bear fruit with that.
All right, well, 1990, a great year for Cork. The hurling and the football double, of course, achieved. But that's all, as we said, of 8 seasons ago now, and although Cork have just claimed the National League title, well, it really is the championship that counts. To that end, Jimmy Barry Murphy will be hoping to do as a manager what came so naturally to him as a player.
John Crowley. Jimmy Barry Murphy again. And Jimmy Barry with the lead for Cork. Jimmy Barry
Murphy is lost to his career starting playing hurling and football with Cork. He picked up his first medal with the county in 1976 when they beat Wexford in the final. Cork captured the All-Ireland title again in 1977, with Jimmy Barry Murphy very much part of that success.
High and the lead for Cork by Jimmy Barry Murphy. Long ball.
Then in 1978 he made it 3 in a row with a convincing win over Kilkenny.
With the shot that's low, and it's the goal! Jimmy Barry Murphy, the scorer of the goal that can win it All-Ireland.
Jimmy Barry Murphy continued with Cork team in the 1980s, and in 1984 against Offaly, Cork were on their winning ways again.
Oh! And Jimmy Barry Murphy to Sean Earing.
1986 saw Cork lift the McCarthy Cup once more with the help of Jimmy Barry, who at that stage was 32, the oldest player on the field. He retired after that game. He took up management in the 90s, and in 1995 he led the Cork Miners to an All-Ireland victory against Kilkenny. He took over management of the seniors in 1996, and after a slow start, landed the league title against Waterford this year. He'll be hoping to do a lot more with that success this afternoon. Yes, retired at 32, there was surely another few good years left in the same Jimmy Barry Murphy. Pete Finnerty, looking at the Limerick cause today, if they don't win this one, then it's going to be curtains surely for a lot of this team.
Yeah, a lot of this team are the wrong side of 30, and the likes of Gary Kirby and Pat Carey and players like this is really their last year. If they win today, the legs will get a little bit of new life and they'll continue on, but defeat today could see the end of Limerick hurling for a while, because they really don't have much on the bench to bring in either.
One interesting thing, it's raining down in Limerick today. Would this have much of a bearing on the match, do you reckon?
It could have a big bearing on the match. Cork would prefer, I think, a dry ball, fast, because Limerick are a stronger team and they'll get stuck in and they like it when it's hard hitting. So I think a fast ball would suit Cork, and I think the rain and the greasy conditions would suit Limerick.
All right, okay, well, for Limerick, this, as we said, is really make or break game as well. Lose it, and it will surely be the end of the road for the team. Win, well, the door of opportunity is wide open again. And that door has opened a couple of times in the recent past. But for players like Gary Kirby and Kieran Carey, well, that All-Ireland dream remains no more than just that, a dream.
2 Munster hurling and league titles during the 90s, Limerick have so far failed to land a McCarthy Cup. In 1994, after winning their first Munster hurling title in 13 years, they went on to an All-Ireland final meeting where Offaly provided the opposition.
Inside towards Pat Heffernan, breaks down, Jim Troy comes out, skips it away, and it's Quigley who's so sharp this afternoon. That's the point.
Ironically, it was a Limerick man that ended their dreams of winning their first All-Ireland title since 1973. Eamon Cregan's side produced a miraculous comeback in the last 10 minutes to steal a victory.
They can turn the tide. O'Connor's in. It's another one. It's another goal. Pat O'Connor has got it. Offaly in front.
In 1996, still under the management of Tom Ryan, Limerick appeared in a second All-Ireland in 3 years. Their defeat of the 95 champions Clare in the Munster Championship gave their supporters hope that they were finally about to land an All-Ireland title.
Kerry leading the charge of the Light Brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
But this time it was Wexford who broke their hearts, winning their first All-Ireland in 28 years. Last year, Limerick went out to Tipperary in the Munster semi-final, but now, under new management, expectations are high. Can Eamon Cregan provide the inspiration today?
Well, neutral hurling supporters would certainly have felt for Limerick on those days of ultimate disappointment. But in the harsh competitive world of the championship, there's little room for sentiment. That's, what makes a game like today so compelling. It's one chance and one chance only to get it right. And that element of knockout competition is what adds to the atmosphere today at the Gaelic grounds, as Kieran Malooly now reports.
Welcome to a wet but extremely full Gaelic grounds here in Limerick, where the weather conditions for this afternoon's game are anything but conducive to good hurling. It's been raining in the city since early this morning, and the pitch itself is quite wet. The argument is already underway as to which team will cope best with the rain, which will surely return during the afternoon. The weather conditions have not affected the crowd. Over 36,000 people have bought tickets for this game, and the team managers themselves are ready and raring to go, especially the Cork manager, Jimmy Barry Murphy, fresh from success at National League level.
The National League win certainly has helped us give them more confidence of taking part in big occasions, and we hope that it'll give them the confidence to want to win today.
Any news from the Cork camp? Have you any particular injury problems you're concerned about going into this game?
No, thankfully, since the league final we've had no injuries, and they're all fine. Brian Cochran and Ger Cunningham were a slight concern before that, but if he looked fine, they're both fine now.
What about you as a manager? Is there a test of confidence in you for you today? As I say, you've found difficulty advancing in the championship. This is your third year and your third attempt.
Well, it's always the first time, I suppose, and we've had a tough game here against Clare last year. Could have won it, but I suppose could have gone either way, and I'm just glad that we've won the league and the team is playing with great confidence, and I feel that we're on the right road now.
Eamon Cregan, what's the situation in the Limerick camp as you face into this championship game?
An air of expectancy. The team are very quiet, very focused, and they know they're in a big match, and I think they're ready for it.
You're playing the National League champions as well as a difficult Munster championship side. Are you up to it?
Well, we were National League champions up to a month ago, so you could say last year's champions and this year's champions. I believe sincerely that we're up to it, yes.
Some speculation in the grounds this morning that you're going to remove two of your half-backs, namely Kieran Carey or Mark Foley perhaps, out the field, into midfield or into the forward line.
Pure speculation.
It's not as if Kieran Carey or Mark Foley haven't played in the forward line before, though, is it not?
Oh, they have. Kieran has played centre field, he's played half forward, he's played centre forward. Mark Foley has played centre field, half forward, full forward, but this is all speculation at the moment. As of now, the team will play as a line-out.
Yes, Eamon Cregan, I suppose, Tomás Mulcahy being coy, as you would expect, about those questions and those possible tactical changes.
Yes, I think in Cork over the last couple of days, I think a lot of Cork people were talking about that as well, that especially Mark Foley, that with the dominance of Brian Cochran over the last number of months in his games as centre-back, that they might bring Mark Foley from half-back to centre-forward and try and bring Brian Cochran maybe to midfield. That creates a bit of space in front of Gary Kirby. Whether that happens remains to be seen. tactics like that can go against you very much on the day as well, you know. So I'm sure in the early moments there won't be too many persistent changes.
They've also been, Pete, moving Kieran Carey around a little bit lately. Now, they've reverted him back again, but they tried him in the half-forward line and so forth. So obviously looking at options there.
Yes, really, Limerick are struggling up front to find quality forwards, and they use Kieran because he's a good player. He's well able to go forward, as we saw when he beat Clare 2 years ago. And Kieran's best position and his most favourite position is centre-back. And they should settle with him at centre-back. Mark Foley on one side and Dave Clark on the other side. And that's a good half-back line. And any team needs a good half-back line, a foundation to base their attack from, as Cork have the other side.
Sure.
And that's really the way they should leave the team and let the other boys settle into their own positions. There's too much chopping and changing on that Limerick side.
Sure. Just going back to the point about the weather, Tomas, Peter was saying that he thought it might favour Limerick. Would you see the same way?
Yeah, from a forward point of view with Cork, with the likes of Joe Dean and Sean McGrath, obviously they would like a dry day. But, I mean, they're going to have to accept the conditions that are there today. I'm sure they've played in wet days themselves down 2 years as well. It isn't particularly nice to play most of the championship when you probably played your last few league games in glorious sunshine, the National Hurling League final, and to play it on wet conditions. But as I say, the players got to adapt to that and adapt it very quickly.
OK, Tomas, thank you very much. Well, as you can see, the Limerick team are out on the pitch. I gather, Ger Canning, that the sun is beginning to shine, in fact, at the Gaelic grounds this afternoon.
Yes, indeed, Michael. We've decided to bring that suntan lotion with us after all, and it may be some use between now and 5 o'clock. Weather conditions changing around quite dramatically just in the last 10 minutes, and the officials here adhering to a very rigid timescale. They said that Limerick would be out at 12 minutes past 3, and by my watch, that's absolutely spot on. A crowd, as you heard, about 35 to 36,000 people expected here this afternoon. Perhaps some of them opted to stay behind this morning when they saw the wretched weather conditions, but things have changed around quite significantly. That's Barry Foley there, who will be one of the key men, of course, in this Limerick team this afternoon. As Eamon Cregan was saying in his post-match, or rather pre-match interview with Kieran Mullooly, lots and lots of speculation as to where various people are going to play. We can only give you our best guess on this, and we'll tell you about it as we look at the team sheets in just a couple of minutes. That's the left half back there, who of course is Mark Foley. Mark today playing in his 7th championship match, made his debut against Cork in 1996, giving a real man of the match performance down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And that was the day, of course, that Limerick had to win a championship match on Cork soil for the very first time, certainly down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And the pipe band out here to lead the parade once the Cork side are out to take their place. Little or no breeze around this afternoon. The pitch quite greasy following the torrential early morning rain. 3 matches in all here this afternoon, and Limerick have 2 successes to date I can tell you about. They won the junior against Cork by 12 points to 10. And the schoolboys gave a very good, entertaining performance just before this match, and the schoolboys of Limerick beat the schoolboys of Cork by 1-4 to 2 points. The Brawleys were up a little while ago. There's a great atmosphere here. There always is in Munster Hurling Championship, and it's always a case of the fans mingling. The Limerick fans hoping that Gary Kirby can once again lead them to another Munster semi-final, and that would be, of course, against Clare. Gary in his 29th championship match. He's not the most experienced player playing this afternoon. That honour goes to Ger Cunningham, the Cork goalkeeper. It'll be Ger's 48th championship match. Barry Foley there, scorer of 4 fabulous points. First half points against Wexford in the 1996 All-Ireland final. Then, of course, it went wrong in the second half. He was replaced. Limerick lost. And Barry, of course, a nephew of Sean Foley, the left half back in 1973. That memorable year for Limerick hurling. And Sean Foley, I mentioned, well, he was in that half back line at number 7. Eamon Cregan was number 6 on that team. And of course, Phil Dennis was number 5. And that's Dave Clark there. 17th championship match today for him. And it's Diarmuid O'Sullivan in his 2nd championship match, leading out the men from Cork. Made favourites by the bookmakers. That in spite of the fact that they've won just 1 championship match in the last 5 years, and that was against lowly Kerry in the 1995 championship. But the fans have come back responding to a very good performance in the league, going right through that campaign, and of course ending with ultimate glory against Waterford just a fortnight ago. So Diarmuid O'Sullivan then, the youngster from Cloyne, who's captain this afternoon. And that was, of course, part of a team that went on to earn glory. And we'll be back here after the scene set in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Ger Canning. Well, now let us consider next the case for some of the players on view this afternoon and the influence that they may have on the game. First off, it's Tomás Mulcahy with his pick of the
National League final against Waterford. His positional sense was very good, as we've seen in this picture, and his ability to find other players with possession is a very strong aspect of his game. Playing centre-back is a key area in any team, and you've got to have the positional sense to be able to read situations, and Brian did that very, very well the last day. He seems to have found his best position, and which is centre-back. Here we see him, a high ball that comes in from Peter Crilly, up behind the forward and clears his lines. And again, the delivery down to a forward division it's nice and low, and it's a type of ball and possession that forwards like. We'll see him once again coming back up the field again, and watch for the positional sense of Brian Cochran. Again, down the field with his left hand and brings his other forwards into play. We'll see again it being cleared by Waterford defenders, but Brian is there again to read it right when the ball breaks. And this is a key aspect of his game. He is very good at reading situations like this. And again, it's a long clearance to bring his forwards into play again. My second player we look at is Fergal McCormick. Again, when you have a player like Fergal McCormick in your team who is big and strong and has plenty of ability, but hasn't shown it in the past. Against Waterford, he was on no mean striker in Fergal Hartley, but did very, very well. And today he's going to have a big task on his hands to lead the forward division. Centre forward isn't an easy position to play in. That you see a great catch from Fergal from a puck out from Jock Cunningham. That's one of his strengths. He is a big man, as I said, and underneath the ball. But also we see he has the ability to be able to score as well. And this is from a very difficult angle. Yes, and that was a crucial score on the day, and I'm sure Cork will depend on Fergal again today to dominate the sector, but dominate the centre forward position.
Yes, that's what Tomás has to say about his selection. Well, let's hear from Pete Finnerty next. Now, he has picked a couple of players from the Limerick team for consideration.
Mark Foley, definitely one of the players to look out for today. Here we see him in action against Waterford. Good delivery down the field. Has the presence of mind to get in behind his defenders and an intelligent ball across the field. Bothered by TJ Ryan, who has a look up and over the bar. Very good score on something very simple. Again, he has the presence of mind to see that his own defender is in trouble. Puts back in behind, has the strength to push off Billy O'Sullivan, and the delivery 80 yards down the field. Turns defence into attack for Limerick. Excellent defending. TJ Ryan, when Limerick needed a player to lift them against Waterford 4 weeks ago, TJ Ryan took on the task single-handedly. Taking on 3 defenders, bearing down in goal. Eventually he's fouled. This free resulted in a goal. Gary Kirby steps up, crash, back of the net. Limerick back in the game. Carey, good ball down. Feeney puts out the danger, but Ryan puts him under pressure and he concedes the sideline ball. Ryan again takes on the responsibility of taking the cut into the centre. Ball broken out, bang again, Foley back of the net. Limerick go from 8 points down to 2 points down. Back into the game out of great work by TJ Ryan.
OK, that's Pete Finnerty's view. The throw-in at the Gaelic grounds is at 3:30. We'll be there for the build-up to the match. That's right after this commercial break. Grounds very shortly. Before we do that, a quick prediction from our 2 panellists about the game today. Tomás Mulcahy, you're obviously hoping for a Cork win, but are they going to win?
Yes, I think they're capable of winning. Certainly they're the team. They've showed the improvement over the last number of months, and I'm sure they're going to just sneak it by a couple of points.
And Pete Finnerty, a neutral view on this one. How do you think it's going to go?
I'm going to stick my neck out and I'm going to go for Limerick. They have experience and Cork are a young team, big hurdle for them. I'll give the old dog the benefit of the doubt. I think Limerick will do it by a few points.
Well, you can't get any fairer than that. 1 for Cork, 1 for Limerick. Ger Canning, it's over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. You could hardly believe it. 3 o'clock, it was still pouring rain, and here we are close to 25 past, and it is now a beautiful summer afternoon here at the Gaelic grounds in Limerick. And the all-important toss of the coin taking place involving Diarmuid O'Sullivan, of course, of Cork, and also Kieran Carey. And it is Cork who have won the toss, I think, and the man in the middle there, Johnny MacDonald of Tipperary, all Tipperary officials this afternoon, and a big important afternoon for Jimmy Barry Murphy. 3 years at the helm now here in Cork, or with the Cork team, and this a big pressure occasion for both managers, for Eamon Cregan and for Jimmy Barry. You can hardly imagine it in their Premier competition over in England. Manchester United or Liverpool's managers coming under intense pressure if their team lost one match and went out of that particular year's championship. But that's the kind of pressure these fellas are under this afternoon. And we'll take a check then on the teams and the team news. Limerick had real concern going back several weeks about the chosen one to fill the full back berth. It's gone to Pa Carey, who took over the number 3 spot first 10 years ago as replacement for Leonard Enright. But he's back this year, and so is his brother Kieran in his best centre-half back position. Now Mark Foley is picked at left half back, his brother Jack is picked in midfield, and of course Shane O'Neill is picked on the 40. But we expect change there, and the expectation is that Mark Foley will go centre forward on Brian Corcoran, that Shane O'Neill will go to midfield, and that Jack Foley will operate at left half back, where he's been operating during the league. But as Eamon Cregan said, it's all speculation, as in where Ginger Spice has gone in the last weekend or so. Well, the big action here, it's Cork versus Limerick in the Guinness Munster Hurling Championship. Wonderful colour, wonderful atmosphere, terrific to be at. Hope you are able to share with us and sample some of the excitement and the drama always involved in the Munster Hurling Championship. Well, we've mentioned Limerick and their team this afternoon. What about Cork? Well, they go for a fair bit of change in the championship this particular year, because they have no fewer than 4 championship newcomers, and they are John Brown at fullback, Mark Landers playing at wing half, Pat Ryan expected to play in midfield, and corner forward Shawnee Farrell. Mick Daly retains his place in midfield, having been replaced in the league final against Waterford. He's expected to be given the task of marking Mike Houlihan in midfield, while up front Cork look for the leadership of Fergal McCormack and the scoring power of Shawnee McGrath and Joe Dean. It's Cork who will play from left to right in the first half. It's the same Cork team as that which started the league final just 2 weeks ago. This, the 49th championship meeting of Cork and Limerick. Today only the 6th first-round meeting of the teams, and it's 4-1 to Cork at the moment, but memories of that emphatic defeat by Limerick 2 years ago in Páirc Uí Chaoimh still very fresh in most minds. So Shane O'Neill has indeed gone to midfield, and Mark Foley, surprise, 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 has gone to play centre half forward on Brian Corcoran. And the other change involves Jack Foley playing at left half back. So the dogs in the street had it right. And that's the switch that they've made, the most important one of all, taking one of their most influential halfbacks, Mark Foley, out of the wing-back position and putting him up on Brian Corcoran. And that in a way says so much about how powerful Brian Corcoran has been this year. Johnny MacDonald will be in charge, the Tipperary man, having as his assistants on the line this afternoon Willie Barrett and TJ Corby. Has done its job, and now the fans hoping that their team will do their job as well. Brightness on the hills and the mountains surrounding Portnagoyle here in the Gaelic grounds in Limerick, but ominously some dark clouds over the centre of the field right now. And in midfield it's going to be Mike Houlihan, and of course also Shane O'Neill for Limerick against Pat Ryan and Mick Daly. And the match started eventually. Referee checking on his watch just to make sure everything's going. Shawnee McGrath with that first touch came off the back, however, and that's off Jack Foley. In the programme he's officially down as John, but everybody tells me they call him Jack. So a line ball to Cork. Coming up to take it, Pat Ryan. the Sarsfields man, connecting well. Kieran Carey, one-handed, trying to get it away, not succeeding too far, that is. Back in again by Fergal McCormack, across towards Joe Dean, scooping it away there from the attentions of Steve McDonough. Dean injecting a bit of pace into the attack. TJ Ryan going back well for Limerick. The referee says play on, fair challenge. Ryan did well that time to track back quite considerably. And the referee, I think, will throw the ball in once the fisticuffs have died down. A real explosion there from the players on that far side, just getting involved in a heated exchange or two. Mick Daly being called back by the referee, and so too Steve McDonough. And a warning is sufficient. Well, the referee had opted to throw the ball in. This is what happened just moments ago there. TJ Ryan getting back, doing his little spot of defending in the All game at that stage, and a bit of a knees up Mother Brown. The throw-in has been taken. Kieran Morrison trying to wallop it down, but it's gone off a Cork stick. It's going to be a Limerick sideline ball. And a replacement stick for Dave Clark being provided instantly. Dave was one of these great campaigners for Limerick, a very settled side. It's his 17th championship match, many times the unsung hero of Limerick hurling, and a wonderfully effective half-back on his day. He's hoping it's that kind of day. Did we put the kibosh on him? Missed it completely the first time. Sean O'Halpine, left half-back for Cork, inside towards Alan Brown, runs on there towards Shawnee Farrell, picked up by McGrath. He puts it over the bar. Shawnee McGrath, scorer of 5 points against Clare last year in the championship, and he's got one this afternoon, the first score of the match. He once again shows just how dangerous he is when that ball is moved inside there. McGrath nipped in from half forward and over the bar. Centre half back Brian Corcoran taking that one. Across towards Kieran Morrison, well capable of getting scores himself. Being the provider this time, in towards Shawnee Farrell, breaks it down here towards McGrath again. Jack Foley is going to keep a much tighter rein on Shawnee McGrath, and he's got 2 points, 2 attacks. And really the Limerick management will be wondering straight away, have we robbed Peter to play Paul, because he would have been marked by Mark Foley, remember. So it's a gamble which so far has not come off, but it's only the first 3 minutes. Joe Quaid pucking out towards Mike Houlihan, being challenged there by Mick Daly. In comes Kieran Carey, trying to provide a bit of steadiness now towards Damien Quigley, races away from his man who's Fergal Ryan. Back there is Pat Ryan. Good delivery through the centre. Dave Clark coming across diagonally to take it very confidently from Kieran Morrison, needing a bit of assistance. 3 players from Cork around him. One of them is Shawnee Farrell. Kieran Carey trying to get in a challenge on Farrell, going for the score himself, and that's a wonderful start by the Leesiders. Shawnee Farrell, first taste of senior championship action, first shot on the target and first point as well, and point number 3 for Cork. It's been all Cork so far. Well, there is a very, very slight breeze favouring Limerick in the first half, but because of the incessant rain this morning, it really is hardly worth considering. Mark Foley's up there. This time it comes back towards Shane O'Neill. They need a score, and O'Neill has tapped it over the bar. Good point by Shane O'Neill, the man from the Piershigs, where Limerick had a training spell this morning, has given them their first point of the afternoon. The loose ball coming out to him, that was enough, and the midfielder slots it between the posts. Well, Limerick will be mighty delighted to get that first point over Ger Cunningham's crossbar. Fergal McCormack is beaten for this one by Kieran Carey, swept down through the middle of the field towards Damien Quigley again. It's Fergal Ryan alongside him. The hand pass from Mark Landers as far as Brian Corcoran. A huge one from Corcoran up towards Alan Brown. Dean is there as well. McDonough's back there, and Pa Carey trying to mind the house there. Pa Carey in his second coming, as it were, in the Limerick colours. Remember, Carey was very much the full-back between 1987 and 1992. Made 10 championship appearances in that particular time, but this is his first match for Limerick in the championship since the 1992 final, and that, of course, against Cork. Joe Quaid from Fiona. A big one. Down into the corner towards Foley, inside towards Quigley. a very lively start to this match. Plenty of goalmouth action, and that's gone out over the sideline on a sideline ball for Limerick. TJ Ryan, the man nearest to it. Mick Daly having a very important task this afternoon against Mike Coulihan. Referee says just hold on a little while because Damien Quigley seems to be doing some running repairs. Quigley, who'll ever be remembered, of course, for his marvellous 2 goals and 3 points against Offaly in 1994 in that final. And of course, in the end, it still wasn't quite enough. Missed last year, today back for his 13th championship match. It's going to be a sideline ball which will be taken by Mike Coulihan, the experienced Kilmallock player. Brilliant connection, but he hasn't quite got the range. The distance okay, but not the direction. So the first wide of the match for Limerick. Ger Cunningham. Ger in his 18th championship season. Up as far as Fergal McCormack. Away he goes from his centre half-forward position, and that's gone to the left. It was a good chance. First wide for Cork. But the attack simplicity itself, from a long puck out from Ger Cunningham to the very direct centre forward McCormack, who incidentally is a nephew of the former Kerry footballing great Mick O'Connell. Mark Landers and Mike Galligan contesting this one. It breaks out as far as Pat Ryan, midfielder for Cork, challenged by Damien Quigley of Limerick. Referee says there was a chop, and it's going to be a free out for Cork. Early stages of this match. A real wonderful excitement here in Limerick. The crowd now filling up every corner of the Gaelic grounds, and a crowd, as we say, of about 35,000. Brian Corcoran lashing this one in from the free towards Shawnee Farrell, breaks back out here towards Kieran Carey. So often a solid and dependable figure at centre half back can be so inspiring. Mark Foley hoping to be that inspiration this afternoon against Brian Corcoran. Had it on his left, turned back in, and the referee says there was a foul in any case. He was dragged back, and it's a free in for Limerick. But just for a moment he was turning to go one way and then went back and straight into Brian Corcoran. Down by the sideline with news, we've got Kieran Mullooly.
No doubt about the busiest line this afternoon. It has to be the Limerick sideline, because Derry Donovan, the trainer, has been all over the pitch. He's been in a moment ago telling Damien Quigley, the Limerick corner forward, to stay back, stay on the end line. That's the direct instructions from Eamon Cregan.
Well, that's been one of Eamon's favourite tunes down the years. That has gone to the right. But that's a belief that Eamon has, that the 2 corner forwards should always hug the end line, and that way create as much space as possible for the likes of Gary Kirby here to exploit. Ger Cunningham pucking out. And Cunningham's puck out is batted back there once again by Shane O'Neill. Ryan for Cork towards Kieran Morrison, has switched across here. Lashing it in, and Dean was very nearly in at the end of it. And Limerick very nearly conceding the first goal of this match after just over 8.5 minutes. Joe Dean is one of those players you feel has a goal in him. This came right across the face of goal, and that's how close he came to making a connection. Well, Steve McDonough had his problems, of course, in the league semi-final against Waterford, hoping to have a better time against Dean this afternoon. Mark Landers, right half back, going back to try and take that one for Cork, taking it up onto his stick. The challenge coming in from Barry Foley. Barry gets the ball back, and Barry Foley's put it over the bar. Well, the persistence of Barry Foley paying off that time, switching across from right to left, and in the end it was a passing error that came out to him, and now the minimum between these teams. They're a case in point when Cork might have cleared their lines, but Limerick so sharp, given a half chance. Mike Galligan getting it back to TJ Ryan, expecting the challenge coming from Daly. It's Ryan who once again sets sail. Shorting the grip on the stick, inside it goes towards Gary Kirby, but Gary Kirby couldn't quite get a connection on it. And John Brown is keeping a very vigilant eye on this man this afternoon. John Brown, of course, and Alan Brown are brothers. Jack Foley, Mark Foley, brothers in the Limerick colours. Barry Foley, part of the same clan. The puck out through the middle, batted back by Mike Coulihan, picked up by Pat Ryan, does a lot of very good work in midfield, picks up a lot of loose ball. And that seemed to go off Joe Dean, and it'll be Limerick sideline ball. Joe Dean, who's busy with examinations at UCC, and back into those exams again this week. Mike Gallagher, of course, number 12 here, born in Fairhill in Cork, up against Mark Landers. It'll be Dave Clark from the Kilmallock club to take this sideline ball. A very good connection by Dave. Nicely down there to Mark Foley, and he was dragged. And the referee says free into Limerick, and here's a chance of the equaliser. Well, Mark Foley has experience, as you heard before the start of this match, of playing in the forwards, played there in the league last year. It's a bit of a gamble to try and cut down the effectiveness of Brian Corcoran, who was such a star, of course, in the league final against Waterford. So after an uncertain start, Limerick have the chance here through Mike Gallagher's free to draw level. It's well positioned and it's right between the posts and they're level. Mike Gallagher's first point from that free, brilliantly taken, and it's 3 points apiece. Ger Cunningham waiting. This vastly experienced goalkeeper, again going down the centre towards McCormack, and Kieran Carey gets out again to it. Mick Daly picking up the loose ball towards Houlihan, runs on towards McCormack, attracting a couple of Limerick players to him, however. One of them is Kieran Carey, and the captain hand-passing it back to Steve McDonough, the assured number 2. Down towards Barry Foley, beaten for it by Diarmuid O'Sullivan, but his pass is picked up by Mark Foley, struggling to get it up. Brian Corcoran in there to challenge. And the Limerick man stumbles out over the sideline with the ball, and he doesn't like the decision or what happened afterwards. And the referee is in very quickly. Diarmuid O'Sullivan, the cornerback, ready to take the sideline for Cork. Willie Barrett over there is the man who's operating on that sideline. O'Sullivan will take this. Eamon Cregan up off his feet once again, up on his feet once again. O'Sullivan driving it down. Kieran Carey trying to bat it away. Shawnee McGrath. McGrath getting a connection to it. They chase after it. Shawnee Farrell beaten by the very tidy Declan Nash. Shane O'Neill, good challenge by Farrell. Comes back here towards Fergal McCormack. Alan Brown and Joe Dean in there to contest for Cork. Park Carey hooking it out splendidly, but only as far as Mick Daly. Daly coming through the centre. That's a block there by McDonough. And the ball has gone out over the end line, and it's gone wide. Just for a moment I thought there might have been a connection there by McDonough. I think he did actually get a little touch on it, but the umpire was watching its flight path. And the player down looking the worse for wear is Mick Daly. Daly from Cove, playing in his second championship match, came on as a sub last year against Clare. Well, the day, I can tell you, continues to be fine and dry following the rain we had this morning. And at that stage we were expecting a bit of a deluge. Sean O'Leary there, one of the selectors. Ted Owens, who is the team trainer. Of course, Jimmy Barry Murphy, who is the coach. Formerly known as Sean O'Leary, I suppose, but now everybody knows him as Sean. And Sean has joined the selection committee this year along with Johnny Crowley. For Limerick, of course, the backroom team, Eamon Cregan, Canon Willie Fitzmaurice and Dave Punch, along with Derry Donovan, the trainer. All of them involved in 1980 when Cork was defeated in the Munster final down in Thurles. And that time it's Mike Houlihan who holds back Brian Corcoran. Free to Cork. And Brian Corcoran to take this one himself. The hurler come footballer. Today playing his 12th championship hurling match. It's a huge one towards Alan Brown. Park Carey watching as well. Just got it out as far as Shawnee McGrath, inside the right-hand post and over the bar. 3 points now for Shawnee McGrath. And there isn't even 15 minutes gone. Well, indications that Jack Foley really has to stick very, very tightly to McGrath. Joe Quaid. Clare had a wonderful debut against Cork back in 1994. That's a great catch by Brian Corcoran, getting away from Mark Foley, who fouls him. And Brian, I think, not too pleased, just adjusting the helmet, young and old here, to enjoy this Guinness Munster hurling clash. First round championship tie. place against Clare, the All-Ireland champions, at stake in Thurles, we think, in a few weeks' time. Up towards Alan Brown, that one's gone. Pa Carey trying to get it out for Limerick. Back there is Kieran Carey, his younger brother. The hand pass to Declan Nash, blocked down by Alan Brown. Shawnee Farrell there as well, and Nash did really well. Called on a bit of experience there against two Cork players. It's going to be a sideline ball, which is taken quickly to Shawnee McGrath. And that's gone in, and it's gone over the bar. So far, he can do nothing wrong. The young player from Glen Rovers enjoying a wonderful afternoon so far. But now you begin to wonder, when are Limerick about to say enough is enough and changes have got to be made? That's McGrath, and that's another one. Number 9, Jack Foley, continuing to mark him, but he's an elusive character, going everywhere and anywhere. This is Sean O'Halpine, pursued by TJ Ryan. Ryan doing well, just holding it up. Mike Houlihan trying to come in. Pat Ryan trying to pick it up, setting away on the stick. Up towards Joe Dean. Been given a bit of room there by Steve McDonough. That could be ominous. In it goes! And that one has landed down there in the square. And the referee says, no. Free out for Limerick. Alan Brown was in there chasing after it with Joe Quaid. And Joe just coming off second best or so, it seems. Joe, who replaced his cousin Tommy as Limerick custodian just about 4 years ago. This is what happened. Joe Dean playing it right in there. Alan Brown, was he inside before? Well, he was chasing it after it, I think. He connected with Joe Quaid, and the referee was blowing his whistle. Dave Clark has now switched across with Jack Foley. Dave Clark is now marking the dangerous Shawnee McGrath. But Cork have already managed to get 4 points out of him. And Limerick will wonder perhaps later on, if there's only a point in this match and it goes against them, whether the switch was made late. That's a foul there by Pat Ryan, and it's a foul on Shane O'Neill of Limerick.
Come on, Pat, hold it up now, Pat!
A Limerick mentor, a Cork mentor, plenty of advice, plenty of encouragement. Mike Galligan, 65 metres out, a light breeze behind him, in low towards Gary Kirby, ever capable of getting a vital goal for Limerick. Mark Foley, stalemate situation, broken up by Sean O'Halpine, out to Pat Ryan. Ryan swinging it towards Shawnee McGrath. Dave Clark, well aware of the danger he possesses at this stage, across to Kieran Morrison's wing, challenged by Jack Foley. Dean, it's picked up by Kieran Carey. Pat Ryan having it once again, he has support. Good burst forward by Ryan. It's a huge one, and it's going away to the left, kept in play, and Declan Nash comes away with it. It had to be vigilant. Well, everybody stood still that time, expecting the ball had gone wide and there would be a puck out. Jack Foley down towards his namesake Barry, being watched over there by Diarmuid O'Sullivan. It comes back to Mark Foley, and Foley has struck it beautifully. That's a great point by Mark Foley. Well, he might be pleased, this young little lad here, and the more experienced watchers of this game just behind it, students of sport everywhere, I think, will admire that wonderful score. McCormack and Carey again. McCormack having it here. Beaten for it by Shane O'Neill. O'Neill one-handed down towards Mark Foley. The hand pass outside coming in. There's a little shot down there by Mark Landers. It's a free to Limerick, and some more news from the sideline from Kieran.
The Limerick manager is slightly concerned at the moment about Declan Nash, his cornerback. Declan has picked up a shoulder injury. They're hoping he'll play it off, but at the moment some concern on the Limerick bench.
Okay, so we look at Kieran, or rather we look at Declan Nash as this goes on with that shoulder injury. Meanwhile, Galligan to level it again, brilliantly struck. And the man up on the scoreboard has the 5 out already. It's the second time they've been level. Mike Galligan's second point, and it is Limerick 5 points, Cork 5 points. Just about 15 minutes remaining in the first half. Declan Nash here, blocked down by Morrison, and here comes Kieran Carey, always aware that somebody on that line may need assistance. Down towards Gary Kirby, over his head on towards Barry Foley, and again Limerick come through here, and it's Derry Kirby who can't get a connection on it, and Ger Cunningham makes the save. And there Limerick had a real goal chance. It just needed a connection like Dean a little while ago for Cork. So a goal chance apiece for both teams, but not availed of so far. Quigley hitting this one in, Ger Cunningham rising up for it, taking it well. Trickers was coming down by Gary Kirby, and a free out for Cork. And the frustration of the day, I suppose, evident in that face there. Should have been, he feels. 5 points apiece. Wonderful contest. Towards Kieran Morrison this time, trying to take it away. McCormack, still challenged by Mike Houlihan, runs into Shane O'Neill, forward by Mick Daly, towards Joe Dean, breaks away again. Jack Foley settling down better at right half back. That's come across here towards the left half forward, who's Mike Galligan. Galligan into the two-man inside forward line, and Barry Foley's nearly through here. Foley, and he's got it! A goal for Limerick! Barry Foley! In the 22nd minute, Limerick left just two inside, Gary Kirby and Barry Foley, and Foley has now got a goal and a point as Cork had a chance to clear but failed to do so, and Foley beat Ger Cunningham to it and into the empty net. The break that Limerick has looked for moments after they missed a goal chance. What excitement, 1-5 to 5 points. Kieran Carey for Limerick. Two sides have given us wonderful matches in the past, and I mean in the recent past. And it's Mark Foley here against Brian Corcoran. He's got plenty of ball, it has to be said, as a centre half forward. That breaks out here towards Sean O'Halpine. The challenge again by TJ Ryan. O'Halpine looking to try and get that ball away. Driving it forward about 50 metres. Still the ground a little bit slippery following, of course, the morning rain. Kieran Carey here, overstretching that time. Joe Dean almost hand passing to himself. Comes back, however, and the referee says it's going to be a free to Limerick. Jimmy Barry Murphy making his way back towards the dugout there. Well, he'll be most unhappy with the concession of that goal midway through this first half. Mike Galligan to take the free, right in the middle of the field. It's a huge one from Galligan, if it's got the direction, and it certainly has that. It's a great recovery by Limerick. 3 out of 4 frees converted by Mike Galligan, and Limerick lead by 4 points. And some more news from Kieran.
Mixed emotions during the space of 2 minutes. Raymond Cregan, he was absolutely furious. His side didn't get a penalty. I couldn't repeat the word he used. A moment later, justice has been done, he said.
Ball played one-handed forward by Shawny McGrath. This is Kieran Carey, steady as you like at centre half back, towards Gary Kirby. John Brown goes out for it. Brown and Diarmuid O'Sullivan hoping to settle down a bit more in that Cork full back line. This is Gary Kirby, that's another half chance. Diarmuid O'Sullivan up there climbing for that one and getting it away despite the attentions of Barry Foley. Mick Daly up as far as Kieran Morrison. Morrison trying to set Cork on their way once again. So it's a case of Cork starting well, McGrath scoring splendidly, and then the switch of Dave Clark on Shawny McGrath, and in the last few minutes Limerick have taken a firm command. So plenty of interesting facts from venues elsewhere this afternoon on this big championship Sunday. The free taken by Joe Quaid, blocked by Brian Corcoran, having to go after it himself. He's got Mick Daly ahead of him, runs into the shoulder from Mike Houlihan. Still Brian Corcoran, 3 men alongside him. This is Jack Foley. Foley challenged by Mick Daly. He really has settled down much better in the last 10 minutes. Limerick's number 9, the right half back. That's Gary Kirby, and that's another score for Limerick. And Gary Kirby's got his first. Delighted Limerick fans. And this little lady here will remember her day if they can go on to take it. Well, we've noticed that Shawnee Farrell, by the way, has been switched to top of the left for Cork, and Declan Nash has followed him across there. It's 1-7 for Limerick, 5 points for Cork. Kieran Morrison breaking it down to the waiting Pat Ryan. Ryan steadies himself, hitting it towards the left. Alan Brown in after it, and he can't get a connection on it. And Pa Carey was being at his most vigilant. That's 4 wides now for Cork. That last one hit in by Pat Ryan. Made a real name for himself last year in the local county championship, playing with Stars, and of course also one of the stars of the under-21 success, Bertie Og Murphy's team. Great catch by Shane O'Neill, wonderfully taken, left-handed. The pass outside to Galligan, dropping it in towards Gary Kirby. John Brown goes out first time, had to get that first touch on it, just to get it away from the Limerick number 14. A block on him, and a very effective block, and a block down the second time by Mike Galligan. Here it's picked up by Pat Ryan. He stepped down for the ball, didn't. Up towards Joe Dean. It was Steve McDonough who was having a go at that one. McDonough again, needing the assistance of Kieran Carey. About 8 minutes to go to half-time. Cork pressing, Limerick leading. Alan Brown right in the corner, Pa Carey alongside him. A good block by Pa Carey, but he's got it again, Alan Brown. He's held back, and it's going to be a free from the 20-metre line. The coaches, the mentors, the fans, everybody playing their full part. I think that was Eamon Cregan having a word with Mike Galligan, having a bit of a go at him to say, get more into this game. And you can be certain that Jimmy Barry Murphy will hope that his defence can settle down a little bit more. And once again, if they get that ball, you feel, to Shawley McGrath, they've got a man who can get scores. Pa Carey's injured, and it's ex-Middleton hurler in Cork, Dr. Dave Boylan, who's attending to him. A facial injury. Eamon Cregan just checking on it as well. We have the possibility, of course, that if Pa Carey didn't get selected, the man who was in possession during the league was called Alan Brown from Claghon. We could have had Alan Brown from Claghon against Alan Brown from Blackrock. This is Cork's first scoreable free. It's Joe Dean the taker, and Joe Dean has put it over just inside the left-hand post. His first point. So once again, the lead down to just 4 points, a goal and a point between them. And some more news down on the sideline now from our reporter Kieran Malooly.
You saw for yourself, Ger, the direction to Mike Galligan, get more into the game, but one direction to Shane O'Neill. Eamon Cregan wants the Limerick midfielder to go much more forward.
Okay, he's marking Pat Ryan. It's McDaly against Houlihan, as we anticipated, and here they are now. Daly picking it up, challenged by Houlihan. Comes back here to TJ Ryan. TJ Ryan yet to score in this match. He's been doing a fair bit of foraging. This is chance, blocked down by Daly. Comes in inside, and the two men in the green helmets contest for it, and it's Gary Foley, or Gary Kirby rather, with a very wayward finish. Well, he lashed at it, did the right thing, but just didn't make the kind of contact he hoped for. 4 wides for Limerick. This the latest by Gary Kirby. Again, Kieran Carey rises up from the puck out, assisted by Mike Houlihan. They're playing very formidably in the centre there, blocking the ball down. The midfielders are anticipating, and they're trying to get a decent service into the forwards. This is Mike Galligan, having been spoken to by his manager to get into this match. Here's Ger Cunningham, about to be challenged, but beats the attempted block. Dave Clark coming from behind, breaking it down, but only as far as Pat Ryan, the midfielder for Cork. This is Declan Nash, now operating at right corner back. Challenged by Morrison, getting it down towards TJ Ryan. Alongside him is Sean O'Halpine. O'Sullivan rising up for this one. It breaks down between Sullivan and Barry Foley. Comes to Mark Landers. Landers rated one of the finds of the year for Cork. Up towards Alan Brown. Breaks away once again to Declan Nash. He really is such a wonderfully effective performer. O'Halpine for Cork. And there was a chop, and the referee was right alongside that there, indicting Mike Houlihan. Shawnee Farrell is now full forward for Cork, and it is Alan Brown who's top of the left. Houlihan, meanwhile, continuing to operate in midfield, having conceded this free. This can put just a goal between the teams. 5 minutes to half-time. Pat Ryan, the taker. 65 metres out. It's lobbed in there, and the defence doing well initially, but not the second time, and it's Alan Brown who's got it. Alan Brown with the game's second goal. Shonny Farrell celebrating with the rest. But that was an occasion, you feel, when the backs might have cleared. They seem to have got it under control, but Alan Brown has always got a goal in him. And he did, with 5 minutes to go to half-time, and a point between the teams. It really is a wonderfully spirited, skillful and enjoyable contest. Here comes McGrath again. Anticipate the challenge coming in, and it does from Dave Clark. Good play by Dave Clark. That's Shane O'Neill down towards Damien Quigley. Quigley looking for some support. Two Corkmen alongside him, and the referee says, I'm going to throw that ball up to end the stalemate. Well, Jimmy Barry Murphy will be very pleased with his man in there near the full forward position, Alan Brown. The defence, you feel, should have got it away, but Brown had it and belted it in. The master of the kicked goal. Not too many people like it, I know, but it's part of the scene and perfectly legitimate. And that is Damien Quigley got out over the sideline, challenged by Mark Landers. Still a bit of jeering following that decision, but it's going to be a line ball for Mark Landers. Another switch in the Cork half-forward line this time. Kieran Morrison now operating at centre half-forward. Fergal McCormack is over at left half-forward. And that, I think, a tribute to the success of Kieran Carey. Here's Kieran Carey. Man who got that wonderful point against Clare to end their dreams of retaining their Munster title back in 1996. This time it's Steve McDonough staying back. Out it comes towards Fergal McCormack, comes off Jack Foley. There's two men involved in switches during the first half, and Foley has this one. He's got a man in space as well. Dave Clark down towards Damien Quigley, missed by Fergal Ryan. Quigley's in, Landers chasing back, high challenge there. Referee says you got the advantage, play on, but nothing really came of it. And I think Limerick might well have preferred to have got themselves a free. You can just see the tension of the occasion here. Fans who've been in Limerick at this venue or in the environs of the Gaelic grounds for hours before the start of the match to get the best possible seats. And if you haven't got a seat, to stand on the terrace and get the best possible view of the action. 2 minutes to the break. Limerick make switches in their inside forward line as well, as Cork once again tried to apply some pressure. It's Alan Brown, the goal scorer, getting it across towards McGrath. That's always going to favour Dave Clark. Clark kicking away to himself and making sure that it stays away from the attentions of the wily McGrath. And the decision going Limerick's way. I've noticed that Barry Foley has been switched across the top of the left, and that Damien Quigley's gone across the top of the right. Meanwhile, the referee playing peacemaker and arbitrating in this one. It's got to be Limerick's ball. Dave Clark will take it. A point between them. Over a minute to go to half-time. Excellent contest. Huge one in. Given O'Sullivan missing it, having the chance the second time, trying to get it up onto the stick. He's followed Barry Foley across. Meanwhile, it is once again Brian Corcoran, the indestructible centre-half back, up towards the full-back. This is Dean, jersey pulled, hand pass, laying it off outside there to Kieran Morrison, looking for the equaliser, and that's got over the bar. His first point of the match, and the teams are level for the third time here in the Gaelic grounds. In this memorable Guinness Munster Championship first-round match, Limerick 1-7, Cork 1-7. A huge puck out. Fergal Ryan has gone across in the switch there, which brought Quigley over to top of the right. Shonagall Helpine tripped by TJ Ryan. No question about that. The referee has blown. The players haven't heard it. Now they have. Well, those who suggested there would be very little between the teams have been shown to be absolutely spot on here. And because of the conditions this morning, you hoped and were concerned that it mightn't be a bad defensive error somewhere. In terms of the chances so far, Cork had 13, Limerick have had 16, marginally better. While the sides level, as you can see. Declan Nash expecting the shoulder to come in from Shonny Farrell on his championship debut, and he's hand passed it out over the sideline, and Cork get possession. Now, who will take a lead with them into the dressing rooms. Kieran Morrison wanted to take it quickly, and the referee says wasn't from the exact spot. Trying to get the best view of it. It's McCormack who's gone across to take this time. So Fergal McCormack walloping this one in towards Joe Dean. Missed, but not by Shawnee Farrell. Oh, it's gone over the bar. And did Joe Quayle get a touch on it? It's a great point by Shawnee Farrell. Cork edge in front, ever so slightly. And it's 1-8 to 1-7. Farrell will take the credit. The keeper was near it. Joe Quaid's final puck out of the first half. The cheers from 35,000 fans here in Limerick at the end of a very sporting contest. The goal for Limerick coming after 22 minutes, credited to Barry Foley and Alan Brown some 8 minutes later for Cork. And so Cork lead by just a point here at half-time. The scoreline reading: Cork 1 goal and 8 points, Limerick 1 goal and 7. And down to Kieran Mullooly.
And with me, Shawnee O'Leary, the Cork selector. Shawnee, what an incredible first half. You started well, you played it, and you came back thundering at the end.
Yeah, I think we got a good start. We lost our way again in the middle of it, but we came great at the end of the last 10 minutes. So we're in a good position now, and I know it's all up for grabs. Like, we have a bit of a breeze with us, but we're certainly happy now.
What about Sean McGrath and Kieran Morrison? They appear to be getting on top in that forward line battle.
Yeah, well, Kieran Carey killed us for a while, and we've brought Kieran Morrison to centre forward now. Whether Carey will stay with him now, I'm not sure, but for the time being, we're happy enough anyway.
Sean O'Leary, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, it certainly has been a wonderful contest. Hope you've enjoyed it. Analysis coming up, and of course after that, the next 35 minutes from Limerick.
Yes, just before we go to a commercial break, let's talk to the panel. Tomás Mulcahy, Pete Finnerty. Pete, I'm sure you're glad it's half-time, because the last couple of scores that Cork got there, you got a puck on the shoulder to go with them.
Indeed, yes. Cork got off to a flyer and Limerick came back into it. Kieran Carey's been very well at centre back, and they're beginning to get on top as well at midfield. And Gary Kirby is getting that little bit of room in front of goal as well. But Cork came straight back into it again. It's 2-1 flow, and it's a great championship match. Yeah.
Tomás, to the middle of that first half, you were gone groom-faced. Obviously, the game started to slip away from Cork at that point, but it's really anybody's game. I mean, you couldn't predict this now.
You couldn't predict it, no. It certainly is anybody's game. But tactically, as we said before the game, Limerick are kind of trying to use the ball into Gary Kirby. And we heard during the match, Eamon Cregan shouting at his forwards to put the ball in chest high into Gary Kirby. They feel that there's a weakness there with John Brown, and if he gets more of the ball, I think he's going to trouble John Brown, certainly in the second half. But Cork will be going very, very happy themselves. I mean, they started very well, went through a lull period, and the man that I thought would dominate our centre forward, that we needed to win possession at centre forward, hasn't done it for McCormack, and he's been switched at this stage. Whether he comes back in at the start of the second half remains to be seen, but we're still in the hunt.
You certainly are that. We'll talk more about this match right after this commercial break. Yes, well, it might be fast and furious in Canada next weekend. It's fast and furious in the Gaelic grounds today as well. And also in the other hurling match that's on today in Leinster. It's even tighter than most people expected in that one between Kilkenny and Dublin. The latest score from Parnell Park is Kilkenny 1-8, Dublin 11 points. It's all square there. Let's come back to our match today, Tomás. We've picked out a few of the scores. There's some excellent scores during this first half. Just a few things to remind ourselves of. The first one we've had a look at is a point by Shawnee McGrath. Now, the thing about this was, this is what we would call, I suppose, you know, typical Cork cuteness here now, the quick sideline ball and how it was taken.
Yes, I think Declan Nash, I mean, it was given out to the linesman, and maybe that he felt was a Limerick ball. Here, as you see, Shawnee Farrell going to it. Declan Nash just flicks the ball away. But Declan Nash feels it's his ball. He's gone down to argue with the linesman, but Shawnee Farrell is very quick in his thinking, puts the ball down and gives it to Sean McGrath. And this is an excellent score with his left hand. It seems an impossible shot, but that's his 4th point in the first half, and he's had a tremendous first half.
Yeah. There's another look at from
I mean, it's a great score. From that angle, you would never think a shot like that is on. Yeah. But Shawnee plays with a lot of confidence, and he knows his own ability, and that was an excellent point.
Well, Shawnee can certainly be very happy with his first half performance. Look at the Limerick score, Pete. By contrast, I suppose Limerick are playing with so much heart, kind of, and real directness in their play. Now, this actually came from very good defence by Declan Nash. This score.
Yeah, Limerick play their best hurling when it's passion hurling, and that's what fires them up. And here we see Declan Nash take the ball, out he goes. He gets a good rattle here and down he goes, but he gets a great hand pass away to Jack Foley. Jack carries it for a little bit, and then Lets it off down the field. Great delivery down. Here we have two guys pushing for it, and Mark Foley pops onto the ball, Lewis Brian Cork from it, and that's a great score from the sideline. Sure. Scoreline from defence, straight into attack. Good score for Limerick. Limerick have taken their opportunities well now as well. They've had very few wides in the first half.
Sure.
And that's vital to them because they'll get less opportunities than Cork will, I think, in the second half when they're playing against the wind.
Well, there were 2 goals scored in that first half. Tomas, we want to get you, if you can bear it, to look at the Limerick one again. And this was a goal that, I suppose, in a way was coming because they had a goal opportunity shortly before this, and it finally got through. Rarely see Ger Cunningham beaten like this.
Yes, as we look at it on the clip here, it's very good ball in by Mike Gallagher. And as it comes inside, I think the 2 defenders kind of go for it and the ball breaks behind. But it's great play by Barry Foley. I mean, as Ger Cunningham comes off the line, he didn't need to get power into his shot. All he needed was just a flick to get beyond Ger Cunningham. And that was a very, very well worked goal by Barry Foley itself. You see the replay again, there was a lot of space in the full forward line at that stage. And Barry Foley is very, very quick. And I'm sure Aidan Cregan, against the wind in the second half, would like to see more of that type of situation.
Sure. Let's have a look at the other goal, Pete. This was the Cork goal. And this was very nicely taken.
It was very well taken by Alan Brown on the corner of the square. Alan wasn't really doing much at that period, and he needed to do something to stay in the game. And if I remember correctly, it was a free that was given away silly in the middle of the free in the field. As Ryan lobs it in, it's hanging in the air. It's a magnificent catch under pressure. Has very little that he can do. Turns onto his left foot and bang, like in the league final, kick the goal. But it's still 3 points. If he continues like this, Larry Tompkins will be looking for him. Yeah, very well taken onto his left foot. Very little drop weight to do about that. A kick from 5 yards. It was very well taken going. That brought Cork straight back into the game, and then they got a run again, and they went in at half-time very strong. Half-time couldn't come quick enough for Eamon Cregan and his boys.
In a word, are you staying with your prediction?
I'm staying with my prediction, yeah.
Tomas, you have to.
Well, I'm staying with my prediction as well, yeah. But it's going to be difficult in the second half. We need to up our performance, I think, and particularly in the power line. Take more pressure off Seanie McGrath. We need to get some more forwards in the game.
All right, Tomas, let's go back again to Limerick.
Thank you indeed. Welcome back here, Michael, to Limerick. I noticed that Limerick have made a change, and I noticed that Ger Haggerty has come in at full forward, and that's a change which has involved Damien Quigley. Quigley's gone off. Gary Kirby's now playing at top of the left. Didn't have a particularly brilliant first half, Gary Kirby, has to be said, and the second half is underway. So just a point between the teams. And our experts have their opinions, I'm sure you have as well, and at the end of the day it's all just all about having opinions and enjoying the game, and that we hope you are doing. Kieran Carey up towards Gary Kirby, being marked now by Fergal Ryan. This is picked up by Mike Gallagher. Kirby again, this time the low ball inside. It's a tactic they might well use during the second half, in towards Ger Haggerty. Galligan has it, looking to try and draw Limerick level with the very first attack of the second half. Across it goes. David O'Sullivan is out first time for it. The challenge by Barry Foley in towards Ger Haggerty. Nice pick up by Haggerty. 3 players alongside him. Batted out by O'Halpine. Comes out here again towards Mark Foley. Blocked down by O'Halpine. Still, it's Barry Foley right on the end line. An enterprising ball back in the direction of Gary Foley. 20 metres out. Mick Denny went into challenge. He fouled him, brought him down. And that's going to be a free in for Limerick, who of course feel in their hearts that they might as well have having the goal without a penalty during that first half. Wasn't to be, wasn't given. This time it's a 20-metre free. And it's going to be Gary Kirby to take it. A point in the first half. But note from one from his frees. This is second free. This to draw the team's level in the very first minute of the second half. And he's made no mistake. So a good start to the second half by Gary Kirby. And Limerick and Cork are drawing for the 4th time in this compelling clash. Limerick 1-8, Cork 1-8. The puck out down towards Jodine. Inside towards Shawnee Farrell. Declan Nash alongside him. Nash coming across on Alan Brown. And there was a push. And that's going to be a free to Limerick. Park Carey just having words there with Shawnee Farrell. Alan Brown shaking his head. And Declan Nash opting to leave this one for Joe Quaid to come out and take the stick with the big wide boss. So the free to be taken by Joe Quaid. Eamon Cregan's right alongside him, giving him some advice. He drives it a good long distance downfield. Touchdown there by Mark Landers, who's discarded the black helmet. Back in the face of John Brown again, against Ger Hegarty. Brown, his brother Richard, used to be the Cork full-back back in the early 90s. Down towards Joe Dean, operating there against Steve McDonough. Twisting and turning, sending the ball inside towards Alan Brown. He bats it, but bats it away from goal. He takes Nash alongside him. Ball inside there, almost picked up by Kieran Morrison. Instead, it's Jack Foley. Defence is a bit open in the early stages of this second half. Almost as though they haven't quite found their rhythm for the second 35 minutes just yet. But both sides more than able to snap up any half chances and capitalise on errors. So it's now a question really of minimising those. Sean O'Halpine. So a wonderful cut inside, going to the right, and nobody able to get the stick to it. 5 wides now for Cork, and that's O'Halpine going back in to take his position there at left half back. His mother, of course, hails from Fiji, and his father from Fermanagh, and he is now working in the financial services down in Cork. Joe Quaid's puck out towards Shane O'Neill, spills from his hands. Mike Galligan has it, lobbing it in towards Barry Foley. O'Halpine comes across defiantly to take it and drive it back down in the general direction of Joe Dean. Batted out there by Steve McDonough to Kieran Carey. Enjoyed some fine moments of supremacy. He's left this one behind to Joe Dean. The impish Dean, the number 15, leaves it there to Dave Clark. One-handed forward there towards Mike Houlihan. On it goes to Barry Foley. Mark Foley trying to join the attack. This is Ger Hegarty. Mark Foley calling for it just out of picture. Still Ger Hegarty across to TJ Ryan. Looking for another point for Limerick, and Limerick get another score. TJ Ryan's first point. Well, it was a very promising attack, and in the end, Limerick made the most of their chance, which I suppose is what it's all about in championship hurling. Kieran Carey one-handed down to Jack Foley. Jack Foley on his left-hand side towards Mike Galligan. Mark Landers alongside him. Galligan taking it up, blocked away from him by Pat Ryan. This is Dave Clark. Stealing away from Kieran Morrison. Up towards Gary Kirby. Fergal Ryan stayed back. Landers the closest man to him. Inside it goes. David O'Sullivan coming out with a left hand, swinging it onto the right, and a huge one way downfield. The wind seemed to whip up at the start of the second half. It's in favour of Cork, but as you can see, Limerick with a 1-point advantage. This is Shoney McGrath turning back onto his left to Dean, the 2 UCC students, Fitzgibbon Cup colleagues. He was bundled over. Steve McDonough protesting his innocence. So it's going to be a free in for Cork. Dean to take it. Joe Dean with 1 point so far in this match. That from a free. And this to put the sides level again. A big one, and it's got over the bar. So 2 points from frees for Joe Dean. Young man from Killa, and all the different varieties of red and white with a bit of blue thrown in as well. And it's Limerick and Cork level, early stages of this second half. Joe Quaid playing in his 15th championship match. Mick Daly racing after this one, keeping an eye on Mike Houlihan the whole time, trying to steal into a clear situation there. Cross towards Joe Dean. First touch, not able to take the ball up. This is Shawnee Farrell, and that's gone over. 3 points now for Shawnee Farrell. He'll be very pleased with his championship debut, and they are as well. Well, we've often said it before, but it's great to see fans from both sides mingling quite freely, and everybody enjoying the fair and being able to admire shots like that one there. Good points by both teams. Limerick coming again. Mike Galligan sweeping it up towards Gary Kirby. Fergal Ryan keeping a very close eye on him. That's Mark Landers. This is TJ Ryan. Player is moving ahead of him and into position possibly to take a pass. Ryan. And And that's a great shot. A brilliant score by TJ Ryan. And he's now got 2 in the second half. And Limerick and Cork level for the 6th time. What a match. 110 against 110. Thankfully, only 8 minutes gone in the second half. Ger Cunningham's huge puck out. Picked up there by Dave Clark. Unable to clear. Alan Brown was alongside him. And now it's Shonny McGrath. Hurley's going at him. And the referee whistles it back. It's going to be a free in. Just when he got into the clear, Hurley was thrown out. It was Park Carey's Hurley. And that's going to be a free on the 20-metre line. And the referee is once again in there to do his bit of UN peacekeeping duty. Park Carey being spoken to, and indeed more than that, for throwing the hurley at Shonny McGrath. He has his name taken in what is his first championship match in some 6 years. It's a lovely, pleasant evening here, pleasant for the players, not at all hot. Little breeze behind the Cork men. This to put Cork in front. Joe Dean the taker, 2 points so far, now he's got 3. And Cork with a slight advantage. But the lead has been seesawing this way and that. Gary Kirby has switched with TJ Ryan, by the way, up on the Limerick forward line as Cork take a 1-point advantage. Kirby has now come out into the half-forward line, playing left half-forward on Mark Landers. Trying to get a bit more into the match. Dave Clark missing his first shot. Up towards the aforementioned Gary Kirby. Now the left half-forward. The challenge about to come in from Brian Corcoran. Good dispossession by Corcoran, but can he get the ball away? Mark Foley was in after him. Mark Foley's had a good match. That's Mick Daly. Down towards Shonny McGrath. The tormentor of so many backlines, a bit of a streak scorer in that he can go and hit 4 or 5 points in succession, then have something of a lull. Right now he's going through that lull period. In midfield is Mick Daly for Cork, trying to link up with McGrath. Kieran Carey instead. Up to Mike Galligan, breaking it down. Fergal Ryan was alongside him. That's Brian Corcoran, back into the half-forward line. Kieran Carey, again one-handed away. He's intercepting a lot of play this afternoon, just using the right hand on the stick. That's Mike Houlihan, beyond the cover of Diarmuid O'Sullivan. And Barry Foley's there, but the jersey was being dragged back by Diarmuid O'Sullivan, the Cork captain. And the crowd back in their seats once again, those lucky to have a seat here in the Mackey stand in Limerick. So Mike Galligan now ready to take this free. Quite a contest between the free takers, Galligan and Dean. 3 points so far for each of them. This between the 65 and 45 metre line, and more importantly between the uprights. And once again the sides are level in a wonderful championship contest. Eamon Cregan playing his full part, trying to engineer victory for Limerick, and Jimmy Barry doing likewise for Cork. So level now for the 7th time. Mike Nash, or Declan Nash rather. Mike has left the panel, of course. Declan back into his cornerback position. It's going to be Pat Ryan from Sarsfields, down in Glanmire, just outside Cork City, taking this one. But he's given it there to Dave Clark. Now Shane O'Neill, drop hitting that one up into the forward line. Towards Mike Galligan, Fergal Ryan, the Black Rock man. It's a sideline ball, and some more news down on the sideline as we just wait a second here, because there is a Cork player down on the ground, and the referee, I think, may well be having a word with Mike Galligan in just a moment. It's Fergal Ryan who's down injured, and while he gets the attention he needs, we can go down to the sideline to our reporter Kieran Mullooly. Well, we'll hear from Kieran, I'm sure, in a moment, but the referee is going in to check with his umpires just to see whether or not they have they've seen anything. So the referee continuing to consult. Meanwhile, we'll go down and have that word with Kieran.
I can't offer you a verdict on what exactly went on there, Gerard. There's as much confusion on this side of on the stand side of the field as there is over there, but I can tell you that Limerick are warming up 2 substitutes. Ollie Moran and his brother James Moran are tugging it out, as it were, at the moment, taking off the tops of their tracksuits. Obviously, Eamon Cregan considering his options over the next 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, options being considered by Eamon Cregan. Meanwhile, Dr. Con Murphy looking concerned about Fergal Ryan. And Ryan and Mike Galligan both been spoken to. The referee is giving them the caution, and that is deemed sufficient. Two doughty competitors. That's how Fergal Ryan ended on the ground. But what happened immediately before that, I wonder? As we watch the Morans be prepared, it's going to be a sideline ball, which is going to be taken by Dave Clark. Clark wonderfully in. Ger Hagerty can't contain that one, and it's gone out over the end line, off the back, and it's gone for a 65, and that's the first. 111. Well, as close a contest as you could wish for in a Munster Championship match. Mike Galligan will come to take this 65. He's got 4 points so far. Breeze against him now, remember, it has whipped up a bit since half-time. Galligan's shot, all eyes on the target and on the umpire, and he says that is wide. Galligan doesn't look too pleased. The man who inexplicably, I suppose, didn't get to play against Wexford in the 1996 All-Ireland final. Back under pressure are the Limerick backs, and Jack Foley going right back into the corner there just to try and take it away from Kieran Morrison. Limerick have it, Foley has it, and getting a big cheer from the Limerick fans up towards Mark Foley, his brother, added to there by Mike Galligan. 3 after him. Galligan knocking it in beyond Ger Hagerty. Ger Cunningham dodging away from the first challenge, having the assistance of his captain Diarmuid O'Sullivan from Cloyne. Had a great year last year. Down into the Limerick backs, Kieran Carey, he's sweeping everything, playing magnificently, and Jack Foley has had a wonderful match since being switched off Seanie McGrath. This is Brian Corcoran. Brian Corcoran's jersey was being pulled by Mark Foley. Cork have the free. 20 minutes to go. Limerick and Cork fans, everyone with their own point of view, everyone with their own hope and wish to see their team progress beyond this opening round. A very open Munster Championship, everybody tells us. Pat Ryan hitting this one, that's going to the right, and it's gone wide. And that is now 6 wides for Cork, and that's the second of the second half. 7 for Limerick. But by and large, in spite of the fact that the second half hasn't quite got the same intensity of the first just yet, there's an awful lot of very good hurling. Victory uppermost on everybody's minds right now for the respective counties. Kieran Morrison. Again, this is going to the left, and Cork have wasted some chances. Eamon Cregan's in to have a word there with one or two of his players. Mark Foley may be switched with Mike Houlihan. Houlihan's in on the 40 now on Brian Corcoran, and Mark Foley has gone to midfield. It's Foley against Mick Daly. Joe Quaid pucking it out. It's a bad puck out. It's then for Dave Clark. It comes to Seanie McGrath, and McGrath's put it over the bar. That's his 5th point of the match. 5 from 5. 5 chances, 5 points. But that the product of a very poor puck out by Joe Quaid, which was intended for Dave Clark. He went for a short one, and he hadn't spotted Seanie McGrath. Well, mistakes like that can be so costly before the 70 minutes are up. Mike Houlihan now in his new position, but this is the man he should be marking, Brian Corcoran, trying to get away from Barry Foley. That shoulder from Houlihan comes in. 3 men in there alongside the tower of strength. It's Mark Landers who gets it out. Back in by Houlihan again, one-handed. Diarmuid O'Sullivan, nobody on him because his man had moved away, his man being Barry Foley. This is O'Sullivan looking over his shoulder to see where TJ Ryan is. Inside towards Seanie Farrell. Dave Clark walloping it out of defence. Comes out into the middle, picked up by Mick Daly. There as well, it's Fergal McCormack back on the 40, and he's put it between the posts. McCormack's first point coming at a very vital stage. And this is how all of that came about, as that was picked up by Fergal McCormack, the number 11, and over the bar. So Eamon Cregan then continuing to pace up and down the line, considering a switch perhaps, as Brian Corcoran is down injured, hence the concern on the faces of Jimmy Barry Murphy and Sean O'Leary. Trying to limp his way back into this match. They could ill afford to lose Brian Corcoran, the Erin's own man. So Cork leading by 2 points. About 17 minutes remaining. That's won by McCormack. This is Kieran Carey, again one-handed. Trying to take it up onto the stick. Dave Clark, oh, very cleverly outside there to Shane O'Neill. Direct hurling by O'Neill, but Ger Haggerty hasn't got going at all. This time he blocks it down from the stick of John Brown. Mark Foley now back in midfield. Meanwhile, we're watching Kieran Morrison getting assistance from Pat Ryan. This is Mark Foley again. Man who would play anywhere in the Limerick colours. And it's a stage in the match now where Limerick just need another point to settle them down once again. Cork have got the last couple of vital scores. That gifted one to Shawnee McGrath and that excellent point by Fergal McCormack. Cunningham's puck out, dropping into the half-back line, dropping beyond there. This is Pa Carey. Great to see Pa back in the Limerick colours once again, because he was one of those stars of the late 80s. This is Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Oh, a great run for possession, getting there ahead of Barry Foley, making sure he wasn't hooped. Down it goes, and this is Declan Nash. Defence is on top of this phase of the game, and some splendid defending at that, but the clearance not the best. It means there's pressure on Declan Nash's colleagues in defence once again. Jimmy Barry Murphy's gone down for a word there with Sean O'Halpine, who's going to take the sideline ball. O'Halpine then from the Piershigan Cork. Cross towards Alan Brown, broken away by Dave Clark, assisted here by Kieran Carey, the Limerick captain, who always leads by example. McGrath trying to rob him. Carey's seen that trick before. Out it comes Fergal Ryan, man injured a little while ago, 65 metres out from his own goal. And I think the forwards would have preferred if he hadn't gone for the score himself. And that gentleman there is probably thinking much the same thing. Well, when they go over, they're called inspirational, the old cliche. Two between them. Here comes Dave Clark. Lovely turn. Getting it away from Landers. Inside towards the two-man full forward line, but this is John Brown. Out to Brian Corcoran. O'Halpine was there as well, and the referee says, hang on a while. Mike Houlihan was fouling there. And that's going to be free out for Cork. Well, he's hoping to make his presence, his physical presence felt, I'm sure, in that Cork half-back line. Limerick's last score from play, you know, was by TJ Ryan. That was in the 43rd minute. So they've gone a while without an important score. They brought Ger Cunningham to take this free. He's close to 45 metres out from his own goal. Can he score from here? He's gone for it. Put it just to the left. Well, the long puck effort from those great days in the Cooley Mountains when he was long puck champion so many years in a row. Joe Quaid facing into the breeze. It's by no means a hurricane breeze or anything like that, not remotely like that, but there is a wind in favour of Cork. Mark Landers needing Fergal Ryan to play that ball down towards Alan Brown. Goal scorer in the first half and a point scorer in the second. That's a goal and a point now for Alan Brown. And Limerick have just brought in Ollie Moran, I can tell you, from Ahan. One of the changes that Limerick have had to make. And it's Mike Houlihan who's going off. Didn't have a particularly influential game. So a bit of restructuring needed once again by Eamon Cregan and his backroom team. They've fallen 3 points adrift. But a half chance and a goal for Limerick, and they'd be right back into it again. Everybody's aware of that. Mark Landers
downfield towards Kieran Morrison, operating in there at centre half forward against Kieran Carey, but Carey still very much the man that you have to respect down there. This sideline ball taken by Pat Ryan, swung across to Joe Dean. McDonagh was slow to close him down, and Dean had the chance, and he's put it over for his 4th point. The first from play for JBM's team, with just one championship win, Cork, since they won here in Munster last in 1992. This was to Dean. McDonagh slow to close, and that was enough for the young man from Killa. This is Gary Kirby. They need something special, Limerick, from Gary Kirby right now. Well, that's not special. That's a gifted pass to Sean O'Halpine. 2 men chasing after him. O'Halpine against TJ Ryan, against Barry Foley. Down into Dean again. Well, if he gets too much latitude, he could destroy Limerick in defence. And he's put it over the bar once more. 5 points by Joe Dean. 2 in a row. Celebration time for the Cork fans. It may be a bit premature because there are 11 minutes to go. And I noticed that James Moran, the other one of the Morans, may be about to come in. They'd been very much part of the Limerick team throughout the National League. Eamon Cregan was quoted as saying they were taking something of a gamble facing into this championship tie, but the sub coming in is James Moran. So once again a chance to try and reshape the team. It looks like it's Barry Foley is going off, the man who got the goal after 22 minutes, a goal and a point in all. But he ends the day sitting on the bench. And straight away it's James Moran up towards Mike Galligan. Diarmuid O'Sullivan is there for Cork. A huge one down towards Shawnee Farrell, causing some problems for Park Carey. Farrell was being restrained. It's a free into Cork. And Limerick right now are really rattled and trail by 5 points. Cork have taken their chances. Limerick have made some mistakes in defence under incessant pressure, and Joe Dean has knocked over another. 6 points for the day for Joe Dean. Well, the Cork fans see their team leading by 117 to 111 and will now be thinking about the Munster and All-Ireland champions themselves. But time still to play, and Kieran Carey and his side will not give up without a really big fight. In towards Cher Hagerty, this one comes. He can't take it cleanly. Galligan's after it, so too is Fergal Ryan, the corner back. The clearance downfield. Ollie Moran trying to get it over the head there of Mick Daly. Daly being urged on by the Cork management, knocking it down towards Shawnee Farrell, contesting there with Park Carey. It's picked up by Alan Brown. It's blocked brilliantly by Kieran Carey. Declan Nash and some of the others watch as McCormack hits this one and puts it just outside. But all the pressure is on the Limerick backs right now. And the puck out's taken quickly by Joe Quaid. No time to lose at this stage. This is Pat Ryan. Well, the more this game goes on, the more you feel that reply goal by Cork and by Alan Brown within 8 minutes of Limerick's in the first half was one of the crucial scores. They led at half-time by 1-8 to 1-7. They're missing a few chances here, but taking the bulk of theirs as Jack Foley comes sauntering forward before he's tripped by Fergal McCormack. Free to Limerick. Eamon Cregan continuing to urge on his charges here. Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Overall a very good 15-man effort by Cork. Limerick having to make the switches. So far they've not been too effective. They've played their full hand, of course, at this stage anyway. That's Brian Corcoran. That's outside towards McCormack. Fergal McCormack from Mallow lashes it into the 2-man inside forward line. Alan Brown's there, so too is Shawnee Farrell. The men who can get goals, and this time they get a 65. And we have some more sideline news. Let's go down and join Kieran.
Eamon Cregan has just one piece of advice for every one of his players in the middle of the field at the moment. One long ball. That ball should go to Gary Kirby, he says. He still reckons there's a goal in Limerick there.
Well, that's interesting because Gary Kirby continues to be played at left half forward, and the man, if they were going to play a ball up to, would be probably Ger Hagerty, but he hasn't got into it yet against John Brown.
The mentors, Tom Cashman, Sean O'Leary, JBM, watching Pat Ryan hitting this 65, lobbing it in, blocked down, Nash is pressurised, Morrison's after it, and it's another one. And Joe Quaid has gone in there on top of Kieran Morrison. Injudicious use of the boot, and it ends up being a right knees up inside there. Joe Quaid, I'm sure, would probably feel he was injured before all of that, possibly fouled, but there was a kick, and it was on Kieran Morrison. Everybody in there to try and restore order as quickly as possible. This is what happened again as you watch. Keep an eye on the goalkeeper, a central figure in this particular drama. And the ball was worked in there, worked out for the 65. And what happened next? Well, that's what happened next. Joe Quaid is limping, hurt before he used his boot on Kieran Morrison. Everybody having words. Eamon Cregan in there to try and make sure that his side remained completely focused. Joe Quaid has got the message. I'm not too sure if there was a name taken. They have their views. You may have yours. Limerick with only 2 points, of course, from play in the second half from TJ Ryan, plus 2 pointed frees, but it hasn't been enough. Limerick had 1-7 at half-time. They've only advanced that by 4 points. By comparison, Cork were 1-8 at half-time. They're now up at 117, as you can see. So 9 points in the second half so far. Just under 6 minutes to go. Joe Dean has come to take this 65. The last one was taken by Pat Ryan. And that has gone away to the right. So 11 wides now by Cork. And there have been 7 by Limerick. But they haven't been able to exert as much pressure as they needed to in the second half, the Shannonsiders. Pat Ryan. This is stopped by Steve McDonough, but he's left it behind to Joe Dean. And that's a gift. 7 points for Dean. Well, another example there of where McDonough should have cleared that ball comfortably away, but Dean was able to pick it up like McGrath earlier on in the second half. Again, the pressure on Joe Quaid's defence. This is Paul Carey. An unfair challenge by Alan Brown, the referee has decided. Johnny MacDonald from Tipperary. This is much better by Shane O'Neill, getting there ahead of Brian Corcoran. Inside towards the man inside there, who is Ger Haggerty, blocked by Fergal Ryan, trying to get it out for Cork. Out as far as Mark Landers. And a huge one downfield, in towards Joe Dean to take it in his stride. Can he? Not quite. Stopped by a combination of McDonough and Clark. Dave Clark with it. A Limerick side you have to feel sorry for over the last number of years, when they might have had at least one All-Ireland success, but it wasn't to be. Diarmuid O'Sullivan. The challenge there was by James Moran, but he got away with it. Under the dropping ball is Steve McDonough. It's between Paul Carey and Shawnee Farrell, and Farrell, straight out of the under-21s, is a very difficult player to contain because of his huge physique. Paul Carey back in the action. Cork fans pondering. Plenty of them with a lot of hope at this stage. Why not? They lead by 7 points. 3.5 minutes left. It'll be Dave Clark to take this. The cheers are Cork cheers at this stage. That's come up there as far as Ollie Moran. Ollie trying to link up with his brother James, but James is beaten to this one by Sean O'Halpy. Shortening the grip on the stick. Again they try to play it into the clear towards Joe Dean. Good understanding to pick out Shawnee McGrath. McGrath trying to get through the Limerick defence. Good ball across towards Shawnee Farrell. Out by Dave Clark. But the Limerick backline, they have been under incessant pressure throughout the second half. They've completely lost in midfield, and Kieran Carey just about hanging on in there.
Take your time now, take your time now, come on, take your time.
Sean O'Leary there giving the advice to Fergal McCormack, all about taking time at this stage. McCormack hitting this one, chipping it in light nicely, and that was a push. It was by Shawnee Farrell. Free to Limerick. Limerick need a goal very, very quickly. And there's been no real indication in the second half that the forwards are able to produce it. Let's see what happens here. Mark Foley towards Ger Hagerty. Hagerty's got it! He's got right ahead of him. Here may be the chance for TJ Ryan. He misses it. He sweeps it in and he's put it behind and he's put it wide. There was a goal chance. And it fell to a combination of Ger Hagerty and TJ Ryan. Well, a goal at that stage would at least have given them hope for the last 2 minutes, but he missed it completely. An injury back there to one of the Cork backs. Appears to be Diarmuid O'Sullivan, I think. Yes, the number 4 is in there attending. Not Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Is it Brown? Yes, it's John Brown. Well, Cork with the scoring chances this afternoon, much more so than Limerick. The stats make interesting reading. Cork had 32 scoring chances. They've taken 19 so far. Limerick created just 24 scoring chances, and as you can see, they've taken 12, or 111. Cork lead by 7 points. 1 minute remaining. This is one again here, and Cork go forward, and that's Kieran Morrison, and he puts it over the bar. Kieran Morrison's second point. Limerick have looked wearier and wearier as this half has worn on. They've been under so much pressure. TJ Ryan setting one up for Mike Galligan. They missed the last goal chance. Galligan going through, and Galligan stopped. And that's dropped out there by John Brown. Here comes Moran once again. This time it's Ollie. Inside for TJ Ryan. But Limerick look a beaten team. Inside towards Shane O'Neill. Shane O'Neill trying to make decent room for himself. He scored! A late goal for Limerick by Shane O'Neill. And now how they'll rue that missed chance by TJ Ryan just minutes ago. 119 to 211. Well, this was the chance. Cork that time guilty of standing back somewhat as Shane O'Neill came through and put it beyond Ger Cunningham. And that's once again McCormack. That's the response to the goal at the other end. A second point by Fergal McCormack. A smile on his face as well. A man who's moved into left half forward behind the goal. The Cork fans ready to come on to the Gaelic grounds in Limerick. Still Shane O'Neill trying to edge even closer. Mike Galligan inside towards James Moran. Here's another chance. Another goal. An incredible finish to this match. James Moran. And now the calculators start to move fairly quickly. And it's all over. And after that very late scare, it ends with Cork winning, I think, by just 3 points. They were much the better team in the second half after a real ding-dong first 35 minutes. The late goals coming in there, but not enough to deny the Rebels their first Munster Championship win for some 3 years. The last one was against lowly Kerry in the Munster Championship, but they'd gone through 5 very barren years. Now they have progressed to a Munster semi-final meeting with Clare. That could be another memorable match. It would be Ger Cunningham's 49th championship match. He'll be disappointed by the last couple of goals there. But the full-time score at Limerick reads Cork the Masters by 3 points. It's Cork 120, Limerick 311. And let's go down straight away to JBM with Kieran.
Jimmy Barry Murphy, something a little uneasy in the last few minutes, but a thoroughly outstanding victory for your side.
Yeah, I thought we played some good hurling in the second half, but in fairness, we gave her some very soft goals in the end and something very concerned about.
You must be particularly pleased with the performance of your forward line. Look around, they all scored and scored well today.
Yeah, I think our players played very well in the second half, and we struggled for a while maybe, but certainly when we needed the scores, we got them.
I've got to ask you, you're going on, it's Clare in the next game and a hell of a clash as well.
It's a great game to look forward to. Clare have been great champions and great respect for them, but it should be a great game in Thurles. I'm looking forward to it.
Jimmy Barry Murphy, congratulations.
Thank you. Hi, Brendan.
Yes, he must be very pleased indeed, but the simple fact of the matter is, Studio and everybody else, had TJ Ryan scored his chance, the match would have ended level. But I think Cork on the day were the better team. They won by 3 points.
They have indeed, Ger, when the calculations were finally done. What a finish to the game, and Moss Mulcahy, they made you sweat all the way.
Yeah, they looked very comfortable at one stage, you know. I'm sure Joe Cunningham and his defence will be very disappointed with the 2 late goals that he conceded, but they looked very, very impressive in the second half, and I said just after half-time that we need to up the forwards' performance, and the likes of Joe Dean and Kieran Morrison came roaring into it in the second half and got tremendous scores, and then took the pressure off the likes of Shawnee McGrath, you know, so it was a great second half performance by Cork.
Well, Pete, there's no doubt I think that Cork deserved that win today, the way they played, certainly in the second half. But it just goes to show you, the last 5 minutes of the game, you just can't let up, can you?
It just goes to show, and it's probably a little bit of an experience by this Cork team because they haven't been there before. Now they deserve their win, and they deserve to win by 6 or 7 points at least. But you can't fall asleep in the last 10 minutes, and Cork are very good. They caught us in the past and got many teams in the past in that way, at the other end of the field. So they have to concentrate. Jimmy Barry will have to knuckle down in the full back line now and settle on, because they did play very well in the full back line.
Yes.
They just fell asleep, and a little bit of a lapse came at that stage.
That was the irony, because the defence had generally played very well.
And had TJ Ryan scored his, you could have a draw. But I don't know, I definitely know Limerick did deserve a draw today.
All right, well, we'll talk more about this game after the commercial break. Join us again in a few moments. Yes, that's our action for the later programme tonight, but of course the game that we've been watching here came from the Gaelic grounds in Limerick, a 3-point win for Cork in the end, but to most the way the second half started, it was all still even Stephen between the two sides, and Limerick got a couple of good scores.
They did, and it was nip and tuck again, and we were saying this one is really going to go down to the wire, because Limerick started very brightly as well, and they got some terrific scores again, and maybe 10-15 minutes into the second half you were saying it's going to go either way, maybe a goal is going to change this result, and I'm sure the likes of TJ Ryan got 2 excellent points in the second half himself. They maybe changed a few players around that didn't suit the Limerick forwards themselves, but here we see the TJ Ryan point, second point of the second half. It's a ball that breaks out to him, he picks it very quickly, adds a bit of pace, and runs at the Cork defence, and when the defender comes out, he just turns and an excellent point over the back. I mean, that's a point that should be spurring on your team, and it should be driving the other forwards to get scores like that, but unfortunately for Limerick it didn't happen.
Interestingly, Pete, you can nearly look at one incident in this match and say, no, it didn't change everything in the game, but nonetheless, from there on in, things seemed to change in the match, and this was Joe Quaid's puck out that went into a Cork hand, it was a point, and then, as I said, things started to change.
Yeah, Joe Quaid probably saw Dave Clark outside of Shawnee McGrath, and he tried to lob the ball over Shawnee's head, but mishit it, and Shawnee ran onto it. Very simple point, and that's very disheartening for a team. It's silly taking sharp puck outs when he has a puck out of the distance that he has. But again, Eamon Cregan was in on the sideline, and he was talking to Quaid throughout the game, and he's a good goalie. He knows what to do, and I think Cregan should have stayed away from him. But that was one point that did turn the game. Everything went right from Cork from there on, and everything went wrong for Limerick.
Well, Shawnee actually, apart from that point, had a quiet enough second half to most, but it was Joe Dean who took over then, got some great scores.
Yes, Joe really confirmed to me there in the second half performance that he is a player with immense talent, and he's very, very quick on his feet. His first touch is excellent as well, and here we see Sean O'Calpine coming out and kicks the ball upfield. Joe does everything well here. I mean, his touch is brilliant on his first touch. Again, a difficult angle, a tremendous score over the bar, and that did his confidence the world of good. And he finished up in the second half with 3 points from play and 4 points from frees. I mean, he had an excellent performance as well, and as I say, in the second half, Cork needed the different leaders of the attack. You had Kieran Morrison, you had the likes of Fergal McCormack come back into the game, but Joe Dean was really the launching pad for them.
So, Pete, Cork are scoring at will at this stage. They're threatening to give Limerick a hammering over the last 10 minutes of the game. And then things started to change. And this goal chance for Limerick that could easily have gone in, well, who knows what would have happened then?
Yeah, things were going all wrong for Limerick, and they had to go for a goal. And here we see the ball is tapped in here to TJ Ryan. TJ Ryan misses the ball and then hits it harmlessly wide. Had that gone in, they still had time to work their way back into the match. But Limerick lost their whole structure in the second half. They were torn apart, they were brought out the field. On the sideline, I think they made too many changes. They ended up with the players all over the place. Gary Kirby wasn't in the game in the second half, he was in the game in the first half. TJ Ryan scores 2 early points, then he's put in corner forward. I think Eamon might have made maybe too many changes. He took Mark Foley off Corcoran, and that was a silly move as well, because Mike Hoolan did nothing against Corcoran, and Corcoran came back into the game, whereas Foley had him under tabs at that stage.
Sure.
So I think they made too many changes. But he was trying everything. In fairness, Limerick weren't good enough. The legs were too tired and Cork were too fresh. And Cregan had to pull out every stop that he thought he could and bring everybody into the game. So that happens to win the match.
Well, it was an irony to us that I was just after saying that Limerick looked knackered in this game, and the next thing the goals started flying in. What exactly do you think happened here as we look at the first of these two late goals? Do you think that Cork just simply changed down a gear?
In an experienced team, maybe a lack of concentration in the full back line as you see the ball comes across. And I'm sure Joe Cunningham himself will be disappointed to let somebody score from that distance. And a low shot, it's a difficult one for a keeper when it bounces just in front of you. And Joe went down well, but unfortunately slipped in underneath his body. That was a good shot by the Limerick player, but I'm sure Cork will be disappointed with those two late goals that they conceded.
Yeah. See, the thing about this, Pete, is, OK, Cork had enough leeway in the game to allow that to happen and to allow them to happen again a second time. But they might have been, when the second goal went in, they might have been only like 2 points up or something.
It could have been, and they could have been caught easily enough. And that's something they have to safeguard against. Now, I really think they knew they had the game in the bag. And I think if they were only 2 points down, they'd be going hammer and tongs and they'd be making sure that they're 3 points up. Because Cork ran away with the second half and their forwards were scoring it well. Their full back line was out in front of the Limerick full forward line, and they were thundering down the field. And they did get caught and caught silly, but still they had enough in reserve to know that if they got caught by 1 or 2, they were still safe.
We're going to have a look at that second goal, or the third goal, in fact, in the match that it was for Limerick at this stage. And I think Gerard Cunningham might just have a little look at the video as well over the next week or so and wonder how this happened to him.
Yeah, Gerard won't be too proud of this when he sees it again in replay. You see the ball struck on the ground into the middle. Mike Gallagher centres it again. Taken on here. Good shot by Moore, and it just bounced in front of Gerard, in fairness to him. Yeah. It's a very difficult ball to stop. It just bounces in front of him and it just ricochets straight into the back of the net. Gerard probably could have come out and smothered it, but it was full distance across the goal and very little goalie can go. It might look simple, and that's one thing about being in the goals. When we see the goal the second time, it looks so simple. Yeah. But still, he's trying to look where his defenders are, he's trying to look where the attack is coming. It's coming from between 2 or 3 players. It's a low shot along the ground. It hits the ground and ricochets. He doesn't know whether it's going to hop up or come at him, and there's very little he can do about that. He'll be getting onto his full back line, rather than worrying about his own game.
And that ball is travelling a lot faster than often it looks on television. Now we're just going to go back to the Gaelic grounds for an interview with one of the Cork players, corner forward, Sean O'Farrell.
Sean O'Farrell, you must be absolutely delighted with the performance.
I'm absolutely thrilled, lads. Stuck forward, it's just brilliant. Let's see half back to man, winning rolling. It's just super.
A full stadium second half.
Sorry?
A full stadium second half when you and your colleagues put your stamp on proceedings.
Oh well, it took us Limerick. The backs were superb like for Limerick. They fought to the last, and we got the breaks and we took our breaks, and thankfully we pulled away towards the end.
Success for you after the National League success. You must be really confident that you're going to win in the championship now.
Well, we'll have to go back to training this week now and concentrate and play on 3 weeks' time. They're all our own champions. National League and Championship is a different game.
And a bit of sweet revenge today, a victory over Limerick in the home backyard.
2 years ago, an absolutely annihilated us. It was nice to come down to their backyard and beat them back then.
Super game. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy player, a lot of happy Cork players obviously this evening. Tomas Mackay, put this in the context of the next outing now, which is going to be even tougher again if that's possible.
It is going to be tougher, but I mean, when you get a championship win under your belt, it does a lot for the confidence of the team, you know, and I'm sure it does a lot for the confidence of the management as well, because Sean said that 2 years ago they got annihilated by Limerick in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It was one of the heaviest defeats Cork have ever had in a championship game, and they've come back from that, come back very, very strongly. They know they've played Clare already in a league semi-final. People might doubt Clare's performance on the day. But I'm sure they're going to go into this one with a little bit more confidence than they have in previous years.
It's amazing, isn't it, how time heals everything. I mean, 2 years ago that defeat was horrifying. You couldn't see any future for Cork for a long time.
Yeah, the one man that you feel disappointed for then 2 years ago was Jimmy Barry Murphy, because he was putting so much effort into the team. And he said he was going on a youth policy. I mean, a lot of the other players have stepped aside, and it's bearing fruit now, because, I mean, he has taken on the role of introducing young players, and I feel delighted for himself today, Jimmy especially, because I mean, I'm sure down through the years when he took over the senior team, it was always ambition. You're counted in Cork on the championship.
Sure.
League success is great, but on the championship, that's the one that really matters. And today he gets over the first round hurdle, which is brilliant.
If it had been Clare and Limerick in the next round, Pete, there would have been something special about that, obviously. But it's going to be no less so now with this particular game between Cork and Clare.
Oh, it's going to be no less so whatsoever. Limerick and Clare would have been a great match, but I think we're going to have a cracker now again, because last year they played in the championship, Clare and Cork, and it was one of the best games I've seen. Cork are that bit more mature this year. There's a self-belief after winning the league. Now that their first major game won, and this is their first major game. When you win a championship, it's totally different to league.
Yeah.
And this was the big test for Cork today, and they came through in flying colours. Now Jimmy Barry has to bring them back down to earth again and get them focused. They're playing the All-Ireland champions next, and they're going to have a right good go at them this time round. Clare, I don't know what to judge about Clare's last game in the league. People might say that they weren't trying. I think Clare were trying very hard that day. Now there might be a bit more left in the can, and Gerald has worked hard with them since, but with the makings of another great championship match in Munster.
Well, Tomas, from what we've seen of the Clare team over the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, they're going to be fit and right, and it would be a major surprise if they're anything less than that.
Yes, and I suppose a key thing from Cork point of view is that the match this time round is in Thurles, and Cork like to travel to Thurles, and they feel comfortable about going to Thurles. And looking at today's game, I mean, they really played very well in the Gaelic grounds, but I mean, over the last number of years, Cork have played really well in Thurles. Clare are going to be a tough nut to crack. I mean, have no doubt about that. They are the reigning All-Ireland champions. Gerald has made no secret of the fact that they want to retain their title again, and what he needed to do over the winter months was keep his players ticking over, keep them in the right frame of mind, and build them up again for the championship. And he'd look at it, I mean, talking about playing maybe 4 or 5 matches, and they could be All-Ireland champions again, you know. So their next hurdle is against Cork, a Cork team that is actually going very, very well at the moment. And if they get over Cork that day, they're going to go a long way.
Okay, well, I suppose Cork will worry about Clare starting tomorrow morning, but they'll relish this performance beat this evening. Man of the match, the next thing we have to do here. I think there was reasonable agreement in the studio about this one, but you have the pleasure of naming him.
It was, yeah, we all more or less agree on this one, but there were some fine performers on the Limerick side, there were some fine performers on the Cork side. Kieran Carey had a great game at centre-back throughout. He was very solid and very dominant throughout the game. Mark Foley had a great first half for Limerick. Shawnee O'Sullivan, or Shawnee McGrath had a fine outing again, as Joe Dean had. But really the man of the match, and he was inspirational, and he is the captain of Cork, Dermot O'Sullivan. He was magnificent throughout the game. He was out in front of his man, he was thundering down the field. And this is great to lift the team when you see your captain playing so well and he's so dominant. He had an excellent game, and when TJ Ryan went in on him, he smothered TJ out completely. And it was a great performance, and Dermot O'Sullivan, I think, is the worthy recipient.
Well, absolutely. On a day when there was a lot of impressive performances in the Limerick jersey, and a couple as well, or in the Cork jersey, I should say, and a couple also for the Limerick side, that was an excellent performance by Dermot.